It's quite possible that Bitcoin's accumulation is now completely over for this cycle. However, there is always buying opportunities when we revisit the reaccumulations and the pullbacks throughout the cycle. But cryptos and altcoins have this very different looking chart at the moment, one which is asking the question, when is altcoin season? Are we going to see one? Are alts going to be pumping? Today's video, let's look at the accumulation schematic, the Wyckoff accumulation schematic, on the total cryptocurrency market cap of the altcoins. Before we dive into that, what YouTube video isn't a YouTube video if I don't ask you to like and subscribe to the content down below, and links in the top of the video description for our free crypto and economic report. And if you are interested in altcoins and learning how to trade the market like a pro, like our members are doing, hitting up these gains, which are happening every single day. You see these on my channel as they come through as fresh new profits for our members. The link for that is in the top of the video description. Go and check out premium trading courses and exclusive community over there. All right, guys, let's start with where we have come from so far. The last couple of days, I've looked at cryptos dying out. Really big disclaimer for a lot of people as I see the confusion over and over again. Traders versus investors. I want to show you exactly what that looks like on the chart as well. Trading, you can make profits whenever, wherever, however. Investing, different story, because you're going to be holding it for a longer term than a trader. A trader is short term, an investor is a longer term. Hopefully we've got that through the noggin so far. I know as the bull market comes, there are more new people, and so we have to continue to repeat those sorts of things. So short term for BTC at the moment, prices need to stay out of this zone here between the 26.5 and 29,000. I posted this specific chart on Twitter yesterday. So if you're not following, use those links down below. Twitter and Instagram, my only real accounts down there. Don't get scammed out there. Don't talk to people in DMs, all right? So the importance here is that Bitcoin stays out of this zone because this was the previous reaccumulation zone for Bitcoin before it moved to higher prices. If it drops back into this zone, then the reaccumulation didn't work. The prices were marked up slightly and then came back into that zone, which typically, generally means that we will start to fall lower from that price point, that trading zone. However, the good news here is that Bitcoin rebounded really heavily off the exact top of that trading range. Really, really beautiful there. There were no closes underneath. Wicks are fine, or tops and lows of bars are fine. If you want to use your candles, the wicks are absolutely fine, but you just don't want to see the market start to close in this zone. So far we've had a nice high close and a pretty good reversal signal with these two bars, or if you love your candles, the same signal. You've had a reversal there. Big day down, big day back up with a higher close. So typically you would expect this market to continue up from that point. So where does that leave Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies right now? Well, this is the Wyckoff accumulation schematic that we've covered many, many times on the channel. Right when everyone was looking at this entire period as being a phase B, looking for a lower price, looking for another spring test and shakeout, you can see that we were looking at this as being the start of a phase E. So we were looking at this going up, and there were plenty of comments from people saying, you'll be wrong and just wait until the market goes down. You'll take this chart down. No, I'm keeping this up. Even if it was wrong, it's a learning. But right now, so far, it's been absolutely correct. The market has pushed up from this point, and $26,900 is a distant memory for now. There is the possibility of us coming back, but let's not get too far ahead of ourselves just yet. So this is the Wyckoff schematic that I've posted here. This is where we currently sit. It's been 1, 2, 3, 4 into our 5th week from that post that happened from the banking crisis low. And because of how severe that banking crisis low was, that's really one of the main reasons why I continue to post about the market most likely, not impossible, but most likely not revisiting underneath this low. I don't think Bitcoin is going to revisit underneath $19,500 based on how severe the news and the sell-off was for that period. And then directly after it, straight after that period, the market boomed from that point, 19.5 all the way straight up to 29,000. So basically a 50% move in a matter of 2 weeks, almost less than 2 weeks. That is a really big sign from bulls telling you that bears have now been cut out of the market. They've basically been left behind, and they are now hoping and praying that they get lower prices. And every time I say that, you go and look in the comments section, people are getting really frustrated thinking that this market will eventually go back down and they'll get their time again to buy under $19,500 or $20,000. That's a clear sign that these guys have missed out. And now what it's called is that they get trapped out of the market, and they just keep watching the market climb up and climb up and climb up. And that gets really wearing on the emotions. You let me know in the comments section if you've ever had that happen to you. And that's part of becoming a full-time, long-term investor, is understanding those emotions and how it works. So these guys are now trapped out of the market, and as every day goes on, it just becomes so much more grinding on them to try and get back into the market, to try and hope that we come down, to come up with some sort of reason. Yes, go through every single reason that's happened out there in the US with the stock markets, with the economy, with what the Fed's doing, with the quantitative easing, with the quantitative tightening, with money printing, with anything that is fearful. That is what is coming up next. The next narrative, commercial real estate collapse. Okay, so there's always a new narrative, but prices continue to go up. So the importance here for me continuing to repeat those things is how the news cycles work. And the news cycle will continue to play out. It's never going away, but our job is to understand what that news cycle is and compare that to what's actually facts, what is actually going on in the chart, which is basically what the smart money is doing. And right now they're buying up. Eventually we will come back down. You know, I'm not only saying that we ever go up into a bull market to new all-time highs. There will be a peak at some point, and I think that's coming in April or May. Okay, so let's keep that in mind as we continue to push a little bit higher here. We'll get a rollover, and that's what happens. How does that look? It's exactly this. The next question was, what happens after phase D? What happens into phase E, essentially? So this was phase A, this is phase B, phase C, phase D, and it seems like we're in the phase E right now. So what happens is we go through a Wyckoff price cycle. It's pretty basic, and it just goes on and on and on and on until we reach the top again. And basically within these periods, it's basically a markup and a mark down, which is a schematic over the top of that. It'll be a distribution at the top. It'll be an accumulation at the bottom on a smaller term time frame. And depending on where that low comes in, is it a higher low? Well, then you get that schematic form right there. And from that point, you start the whole cycle again and again and again until we continue to climb up. And then on the way down, the same sort of things happens. Down and down and down. You get the picture. I don't need to go through it. It's not primary school here. That's as basic as it is. So once we hit that top, we start to come back down, put those lower highs in, then we'll come back and find out where the next support level is, which leads me to cryptocurrencies, altcoins. You can really tell that this is the next big topic that a lot of people want to talk about, because altcoins have basically been putting in a few percent gain here and there. And I think a lot of people are just getting edgy to try and degen into the market and just bet on the next big thing. This is the previous cycle. I've gone through and just given it a rough Wyckoff schematic here, looking at a selling climax, a secondary test, an automatic rally, a trading range, the top here, another secondary test. You've got a springtime test, last point of supply, and then a push out of the trading range that gives you a sign of strength, then a backup and a last point of supply, and then market goes on its mega bull run. That just goes way, way, way up. Okay, so this is the important part right here to have a look at, because we're not at this stage yet for that mega, mega bull run. I think we're in this stage here. Having said that, doesn't mean you can't make a crap ton of money right now, just like what I've shown you plenty of times with our traders in our TIA premium over there. Link is in the top of the video description. Where else would it be? You know, this is YouTube. They're making great gains because they are trading this market. And I want to show what that looks like on the chart, because you can make gains right here and then short the market, then up and down and up and down. But the big thing here is a lot of these coins that are around at these lows won't be around at the next lows and won't be around making great gains when the market finally breaks out of those tops. And even if they do, they may not be making gains like Bitcoin is making. And that's what I've talked about on the channel just 2 days ago, where I've titled it, Crypto is Dying Out. So I stand by that because that's exactly what happens every single time. And it has to happen because not all of these 20,000 projects are going to make it. If you think your one project is going to make it out of the 20,000, good luck to you. I wish you all the best, but the odds are heavily stacked against that one particular crypto, especially if it was just new from the previous cycle and yeah, it's going to make it, all that sort of stuff. Look, if that's the game you're playing, that's the game you're playing. Maybe you'll get your 100x, maybe you won't. I'd rather stick around for the longer haul, stay here for the years that I have done, rather than try and take a big swing and a miss on one particular crypto. However, that is 100% normal behavior for humans. They would much rather take a swing and a miss, bet the house on something in the hopes of getting 100x, rather than just taking the easy moves and just making 2x or a 5x or maybe a 10x. They'd rather try and get the 100x. This is normal human behavior. You can see it. It's basically sports gambling, and that's why you have a whole ton of degens that come here trying to make those 100x's. It's just the human psychology. So if you can stay away from that, you'll last a lot longer, make your 5x's. It's excellent money. 5x, 10x, come on. Where else are you going to get that? You're not going to get that in property. And just take it for what it is, bag those gains, put it into something that's a little bit more boring, more slow, and build upon that. Enough of my rant, back to this chart here and why I think we're not there just yet. There is going to be gains to be made, trading for sure. But I think we're in this particular range right now, or if you're really keen, maybe we're coming out of this particular range here for altcoins. There's two different systems playing here. One is altcoins that may make it from the previous cycle. The odds are heavily stacked against us. That's just the way it has to be. Some of them may still do 20x or 50x, okay? But where we could go wrong is that they may just continue to die out against their BTC value, and Bitcoin may continue up in the next cycle, and they'll look like they're going up in their US dollar value. So fast forwarding to where we currently are today, then this is what I can see with the schematic at the moment. So I've got my phase A. So this is the total cryptocurrency market cap, excluding BTC and excluding Ethereum, looking at the top here. We have our phase A. We have our phase B and C. We have our phase D, but we haven't got the confirmation of a breakout yet of this particular phase. Doesn't mean it won't happen right now and we get that move up if Bitcoin continues up, because Bitcoin goes up, the USD values go up. This is the USD values. This is not the Bitcoin values. You want the Bitcoin values, we go to the Bitcoin dominance chart, which of course would mean Bitcoin would be going up and alts are going down against the BTC value. Nonetheless, this is where we are. It's a bit of a rough guide here because I'm still not sold that this is going to play out to the upside. I want to see that confirmation. Yes, I understand that this would be a better time to buy because it is right at the low. If you can pick the exact lows, you'd be up 40%, just generally speaking, on those altcoins from the lows there in December. But this is really the safer area because it breaks out of the accumulation zone. So you want to see that breakout and that hold above and that move to higher prices. Just like what we saw in the previous range here. You saw the move up, the test, the sign of strength, so the SOS, and then the backup and last point of supply before the market really takes off into that altcoin season. But just repeating this part here, even if we're in something like that, it doesn't mean that we can't have fantastic gains, because from the lows there around 30 billion to the tops there at 90 billion, there's still a 200% move to be had. And maybe that's going to be 100, 150, maybe it's 200. Either way, there are still fantastic moves to be had. It's just going to be shorter ranges to hold those cryptos for. So it's just going to come down to your time frame on how long you choose to hold these altcoins. Maybe we get that move up and then a move back to the highs to retest, and then those altcoins die out. Just the old ones, maybe they don't have another move in that next cycle. Maybe they just start to die out to the downside. So that's why it's really important to keep an eye on both charts, particularly of your altcoins that have been around from the previous cycle, this cycle right here, all that gaming and metaverse crap that basically has no use whatsoever. Probably some other narrative like AI will overtake it and people will just flock to the next shiny new coin or new narrative, essentially. It's just basically preparing for all of those scenarios so that you can remain in the markets for longer, because the longer you're in the market, typically you're able to learn more and typically you're able to make some more profits. If you're here a short time, you just don't have the experience in a market to be able to make it that far. What if I'm wrong on these scenarios for altcoins? I want to visit that so that I can be prepared in case I am wrong. And being wrong would be that downside at this point. I think maybe we're going up to this move here. And I've said, I think maybe it might be this move where we get this fade out, but it could be a break above and then we fade out of that point as well. So it almost seems like I'm saying that this isn't the exact same move as this, and that we see the breakout and then the retest, but at the same time, we just don't have that confirmation yet. That's why I'm not as confident in this particular move to the upside for the altcoins as I have been for the Bitcoin breakout. We had that really solid move, big push to the downside, then big volume to the upside. That's what got me really confident there. We haven't seen that yet for altcoins, which means maybe we break down from this point, maybe we break out and then continue to break down from that point. So we just get a higher low, which is stronger. That's the scenario that we would want to see for altcoins for the longer term, the break out of this zone and then retest. Otherwise, we get a rejection here and then a fade out again. That's going to be a longer grind for altcoins. Now, there's another area that I could be wrong, similar to the first, but maybe these phases are all labeled incorrectly. We just don't know until we get that breakout, which then confirms all of the other phases. So while we're in this particular range here, that could mean that this may only be phase A. I'm playing all scenarios here because I don't have the answers. It's black on the other side of the chart. I can't move across and tell us what's actually happened. So I need to understand what could happen and where I could go wrong so that I can be prepared for it in case I am wrong. Hopefully you guys do the same. But from this point, maybe this is only the whole phase A. So maybe we've just moved down into this zone and what we're about to see is just that move to the upside. I think it's less likely. I still don't think there's going to be some big moves yet because of the timing aspect. We haven't gone through a long enough accumulation zone, or at least a long enough sort of area of trading range for the altcoins just yet before we get this big explosive blow off move. But like we saw in the previous cycle, we did have two reasonably solid trading ranges, one through the first section and then one through December into that February period. So they're both pretty good, from that 37 billion to about 80 billion. So about 100% move at that point. Then we even had the DeFi summer of 2020, which led all the way up into the breakout here into August. So there were a couple of good moves there. I think that one's probably due later next year. So we're potentially going to see something like that or something like this. I'm not anticipating a black swan event. Let's just keep that out of the way. You can't anticipate those, so let's forget about them. So what we'd look for is that breakout and the continuation of this particular Wyckoff schematic. Otherwise, we get the breakdown from this point, then we would have to shift all of these phases to the right, revisit it, come back to the chart. Either way, hopefully you've made some profits and you are enjoying the content here on the channel by hitting that like, subscribing to the channel. Check out our free crypto and economic report. Otherwise, get on board with the trading over there at TIA Premium Trading Courses and exclusive community. I'll see you guys back here for the next video. Have a great day. Until then, peace out.